Welcome to the introductory episode of the Songwriter's Greenroom podcast. I'm your host, John Andrew Suchocki, and we're here to talk about the craft of writing songs. If that's what you're into, you've come to the right place. So here we are at the first episode of the series, which, forgive me, I'll be kicking off from the top of my songwriting soapbox. Solo, just you and me. How about that? Well, actually for the first 2 episodes. Here in the first episode, I want to discuss what I see as the 3 key steps to songwriting. Then in the second episode, I aim to address the oh-so-elusive art of creating melodies. People do it differently, and I'm one of those people. From there, we'll be launching into interviews with other songwriters, both professional and avocational, like myself. The goal? A forum where we songwriters can learn from each other. And for those of you who tend not to have that songwriting bug, but enjoy music nonetheless, we're here for your enrichment as well. The many ways music can be made, it's fascinating stuff. And I can promise you engaging stories and new perspectives along the way, especially from our interviews. Cool. Let's begin. The way I look at it, there are 3 steps to writing a good song. First, of course, there's the inspiration. A catchy melody or lyric somehow comes to you. There's this vibe, this feeling, almost a color. And you capture that color, those elements on paper or on some handy audio recording device. And that's the first step, the inspiration. And if it's all good, at that point, you've got something in your pocket. And it gives you that little extra kick to your step for the rest of the day. Yeah, I got an idea for a song in my pocket. It's pretty cool. Then there's the second step. It's a greater dose of reality. It's where you actually flesh out those early ideas. Any missing parts, you fill those in. You build an arrangement, which is where you figure out how all the parts go together. You write the lyrics and make sure they match the music. Match the music. Do you hear that? Match the music. It's how the words sound, which is just as important as the meaning that they might convey. Match the music. Then, in my experience, it's a good idea to sit. Just sit on the song for a week or more and come back to it later with fresh ears. And at that point, you can make these subsequent tweaks. And also, in my experience, that wait time, a week or so or more, allows you to be a better judge on the quality of that song, because initially, I tell you, there's what I call this honeymoon phase, where you think that song in your pocket is like the best thing you've ever written, and it most likely actually isn't. But that doesn't matter because you are inspired, and so you move forward. But if it does turn into a good song, you need to do it justice. One needs to consider the next step, which is producing a high-quality recording. For that, the details are many, no doubt. But if it's a decent song, you got to know that with the production step, this still allows for a ton of creativity to transform that decent song into something really special. The 3 steps: inspiration, fleshing it out, and then actually producing it. And then from that, a song is born and recorded for the universe to hear. Hey, baby, can I see you tonight? I wanna know if you might. Which is another story. The elephant in the room is that the technology available to us now has made it easier than ever to produce high-quality recordings. And just about anyone today can operate their own digital audio workstation. I would advise go to a studio, work with someone who has a lot of experience at the production. That's always the best choice, but it's not the only choice. And many of us will just take it on our own and learn from there, myself included. But because now so many more people are doing this, the amount of music available to us is like staring into infinity. And from a music lover's point of view, that's great. And the problem is actually finding the music you enjoy. So we follow influencers or record labels. But for us songwriters, we remain like drops in an ocean that is known as Spotify, Bandcamp, YouTube, you name it. There used to be, decades ago, 100 musicians making $100 million each. Now, it's more like 100 million musicians making $100 each. Actually, if you're making $100 a month on Spotify or YouTube, you're doing pretty well. But to the casual listener, you might think that, well, if the song's really good, then it should percolate to the top. And if it didn't percolate to the top, well, that's just because the song isn't that good. No, that's not the math. The math is that if your song is like 1 in a million good, then there are thousands of other new songs that are just as good, if not better. Everyone's doing it. We all have talent. So that better song that percolates to the top is based upon many factors, not just the quality of the song. It's got to be a quality song to begin with. If it's not, forget about it. Many other factors like the YouTube algorithms, and to be frank about it, down-to-earth touring. Oh, what kind of fan base do you already have? What marketing? What promotions? All of those which are expensive and time-consuming. So it is that with any songwriter, this is what you face. Am I doing this as my career or as a side gig? Chances are the latter. And all the power to you if the former. If it's going to be a special time in your life where you did that, driving around in a van with your buds, oh, fantastic. Do it. For myself, I just love writing songs. It's my happy place, even if it extends no farther than my family and friends. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd love for a professional artist to pick up one of my songs. That would be too cool. But for now, let's ignore the business side of it all. Here, I'd love to start talking from the heart. Why is it that songwriting is such a meaningful endeavor for myself and hopefully for you too? As a songwriter, I know I'm literally creating my life's soundtrack. And I love the challenge. There's always something new to learn, always. That's the nature of audio, which is far more complex than most people realize. And I love the opportunity for personal growth. There's that too. I like to think my albums have actually gotten better over time, that I've learned things. I enjoy writing songs. It feeds my spirit. And it's not really a choice any more than breathing is a choice. I wake up, I have this idea, I'm sorry, I got to flesh it out. I just have to, I'm compelled. It's part of my identity. And of course, all of this supported by my day job. Sound familiar? I find songwriting to be enriching. And of course, it plays well to one's creative side. Here I am promoting, make everyone in the universe a songwriter. And it is a learned skill of which you can be proud. That's right, a skill, a craft that you learn. To me, it provides this balance to all else that's happening in my life. That's what songwriting means to me. Maybe for you too. But if you're not a songwriter, then there's something else that feeds your spirit, right? And you're doing that, right? Anything that feeds your spirit, we know, is worth nurturing. Get some lyrics out of that. Here on this podcast, we just happen to be talking about the craft of writing and producing songs. Oh, one more thing. To me, each song is like a child. Precious for what it is. You may like it or may not like it, but for me, it's my child. It's a part of my life up there for public display. It's kind of cool. And I would also say that that's kind of daring, except it's not really, because I know there are not going to be that many people who listen to it. Maybe a concert here or there, friends listening to my playlist. That works for me. One major thing I've learned is that there is an audience for everything. Your songs are certainly good enough for some audience somewhere. You're human, you have things to say, and I guarantee you there are people who want to listen. The question is not whether your songs are good enough. The question is whether it's worth it to you to expand what audience you might already have. You know, it just might be an audience of you. You're doing it for yourself. Fantastic. Doing it for family, your friends. Great. Doing it for others. And you're happy with that. You're a success. Excellent. Back to this podcast series, our focus. Well, the focus is going to be anything related to songwriting. And this will certainly include those steps I mentioned earlier, the inspirational part. How do you come up with a melody? Then the craft of fleshing out the arrangement. To me, that's actually a bit easier. That's the fun part. And then 3, the recording process itself. I look forward to geeking out with you on all that technical stuff. Oh, this past summer, I took a course on compression. Wow, did that blow my mind or what? I'll tell you up front, right here. Compression is like nearly everything. You not only can play with the left and right, you can play with the front and back and up and down. It's like, whoa. We'll talk about that. We'll have invited guests. If there's another thing I've learned, not just that there's an audience for everything, but it's that we've always got so much to learn from others. Which is the case for your joining your local songwriters group. And if by some chance there isn't one in your area, then that's something you ought to start up, like right away. And watch your songwriting skills just take off. We are always stronger together. That's Patrick Wright at the Jazz Kitchen in Indianapolis. You'll hear Patrick on our recent Crisscrossing Below the Fray album and on earlier ones too. The John Andrew Band is a collection of musicians I work with, such as Patrick. Quite the honor. Again, we're stronger together. All right. You ready? Ready for what? What? Yeah. You're on stage now. It's time to roll up your sleeves, and we're going to get into it. I'm going to play you this recent song, but I'm going to ask you to put on your analytical hat. I want you to listen critically. And it's not enough for you to just say whether you like it or don't like it. I want you to be able to spell out exactly why. What works for you? What doesn't? Can you identify the elements? Ooh, there's the bridge. Ooh, there's the verse. Why did he repeat that twice? We're going to dissect it a little bit here. Ready? From Crisscrossing Below the Fray album, Don't Talk About It. Like a thorn into my skin, my reserves growing thin. I'm feeling delicate and I just can't shake it. With simply too much going on, I can't conceive of what went wrong. There's this tender spot that won't let go. No, I don't want to talk about it. No, I don't want to talk about it. Why persist in each mistake? Have we no destiny to make? If you forgive me, well, maybe I'll hear it. I'd rather turn inside my head and deny all that was said. Na 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 na. I don't mean to be cruel, but I don't want to talk about it. No, I don't want to talk about it. You give me your gaze, why don't you let me alone? Am I not clear enough for you to forsake me? This energy you find once a dream, have I gone blind? If you hold me one more time, would you let me go? No, wounded wolf, am I? Why explain it? Can't we move on and just let this be? It all seems so small compared to the universe. Give me some time and then we will see. 'Cause I don't want to talk about it. No, I don't want to talk about it. With simply too much going on, I can't conceive of what went wrong. There's this tender spot that won't let go. Okay. If you're listening with someone, now would be a good time to hit the pause and talk about it. Or maybe just replay, because here's the thing. If you've not heard a song before, a particular song, then that's tough, because your brain has no context. A song you're already familiar with really does feel different after you're familiar with it. Upon your first listen, I tell you, it wasn't as good. Songs, like a fine wine, will get better. It's the bane of every songwriter. Most people want to hear songs that they're already familiar with. And that's why bands always play covers. By definition, when you write a new song, it's already familiar to no one except yourself. Good luck getting people to listen. It had better be catchy. It had better offer as much ear candy as possible. It had better be easy to understand and easy to connect with. So, What'd you think? Now, let me point out, we've all experienced these times when we just don't want to talk about it, right? There's a universal theme. Check. Was this ear candy? Yeah, it was. We spent a lot of time on it. Check. And I'm here to give away just about every secret I got. So let me ask you, what does this song you just listened to have in common with The Wizard of Oz? The first song, sung by Judy Garland. Something to do with a rainbow? What do they have in common? That's right. The first two notes are an octave apart. Somewhere over the rainbow, right? Now compare that to, no, I don't want to talk about it. So this song, it plays a trick of leveraging another song already nestled into your song-loving head. Now, I'd like to say I did that on purpose, but I didn't. It wasn't until I was working on the piano that I realized, whoa, wait a second, that's from Over the Rainbow. So the song was tricking me as well. And as a side note, my understanding is that the producers of The Wizard of Oz were wanting to cut Over the Rainbow from the movie because it made the movie too long. And also at slow tempo, they said, slow down the pace of the movie, just get rid of it. They clearly didn't get it. And you know why. Because they hadn't heard it enough. Because a song you're already familiar with really is different after you're familiar with it. I should also mention that while we're trying to craft a song, you got to know there's only so much you can do. It's like the song is its own self. It's your child. The most you did was to help with the conception. The child is its own self, and what's most important for you as a songwriter is to actually listen to the song. I know you might try to be, you're trying to mold the song, but watch out. The song is also trying to mold you. It's talking back, and you need to listen. And you go, oh, how come this isn't working? How come you're trying to force something and it's just not working? Why is it not working? Because that's not what the song wants to do. It's your child. It's important to listen to your child and at times just let go and let it be. And you didn't imagine that you were going to have it go like this, but somehow it just asked for it and you listened and you said, okay. Back to this song. It also gets to the hook really fast, like after 20 seconds. But of course, Over the Rainbow, the hook starts out at about approximately 0 seconds. It's the first notes coming out of her mouth. Somewhere. Yeah. So you want to get to the hook soon. You do. And you want the song to build. And this song does that. You need to have what we call a middle eight or a bridge. And the bridge here is that part where it talks about a lonely wolf am I, why explain it? And it works much like a palate cleanser. And that palate cleanser prepares you for the finale where the hook is just driven into your face. Let's see, the chord progression, it's a simple 1, 2, 3. And then they invert into I think a 2, 1, 3. But my point is they're the same chords throughout the song, but on different parts, they're just played in a different order. And that, you should know, is a secret of most all popular songs. And there are many other elements to address that are going on in here, but in the end, they all come together. And that's what you aim for. Hopefully that connects with someone somewhere. Ooh, I tell you, audio is far more complex than most people realize. It's fascinating stuff. There is so much to talk about, and I do want to talk about it. But this is just the introductory episode. And with this series, we'll be digging into these sorts of juicy details. What makes for good lyrics? And what makes for a good chord progression? Oh, we'll talk about magic pairs. And what makes for a good recording? We'll talk about compression. I'm compressing my voice right here. And how can we support ourselves in doing what we love to do as songwriters? We'll have guests to get their perspectives as well. All of this and more on the Songwriter's Greenroom podcast. As always, thanks for listening. Until next time, stay in tune.